Now, welcome to a weekend edition of News from Naboo, where I think we got one piece of interesting news to cover today. So let's get right to that news.
All right, today we're going to talk about some viewership for the Mandalorian Season 3 trailer that just dropped. You know, the second
Monday
one?
night, yeah.
Yeah.
Might have been a big deal, I think.
It could have been a big deal, yeah.
I think we're about to find out just how big of a deal. Maybe a really big deal.
The Hollywood Reporter reported,
That's
go figure,
that's why I'm here.
that the second trailer for Season 3 picked up 83.5 million views in the first 24 hours of its release.
That seems insane.
83.5 million. I mean, at least 80 of those were from you, right?
No, I only got the 3.5 million. Come on, let's be fair.
Okay. I mean, if you need any reference for those numbers, the previous record holder with regards to Disney Plus shows in the Star Wars franchise was Obi-Wan Kenobi, which managed to amass about 58 million views, which is
That's it.
crazy.
I mean, this seems like a lot, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but in comparison, that seems like the archives are perhaps incomplete. Sorry, I'm just going all kinds of... It's the weekend, I can do that.
You can. It's your ramble time, so you're
It's
allowed.
usually a weekend ramble, but we kind of decided to cover this instead.
Well, because this is interesting.
Well, no, I think it's very interesting because there's a lot of talk of Star Wars is dead, franchise fatigue. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying Star Wars doesn't have its issues, right? I've discussed that in length in my other channel, more or less. But I think Mandalorian kind of has transcended Star Wars itself.
Well,
I think this is it's big on its own. It's not like this Star Wars show is good. No, The Mandalorian, in the eyes of many, is good.
Well, it's maybe absence makes the heart grow fonder, too. I mean, I feel like it's been forever since we've seen Mando.
Not according to Disney and Lucasfilm. Like, got to get Grogu. They were like, no. We don't want you to have too absent of... We don't want you to be away from Grogu too much here.
No, I mean, speaking to Star Wars fatigue, I mean, maybe... I was worried that things like Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi could possibly hurt people coming back to watch
I think it has to
Mandalorian.
an extent. I think
Because
Andor
those shows
was...
were a little more on the disappointment spectrum for a lot of people.
I think a lot of people were... And a lot of people loved them, too. Don't get me wrong. It's not like, my view or your view is the only view, but I think a lot of people certainly were disappointed by those two shows.
No, we're not playing Highlander rules.
There can be only one view. My view. No, that's the way the internet works, right?
Right.
Oh, boy.
Sorry, cat toy interruption.
Cat toy interruption.
Now the other cat has to go because he's like, whoa, is there a toy that was left out? Yeah.
And this is where we pause the video.
All right, cat toy has been dealt with. We're back.
Magically, we have returned. But no, I think there's a lot of people who were definitely disappointed in Boba Fett and Kenobi. Mm-hmm. I think that reflected in Andor. But as I said, I think Mandalorian is something that even if you didn't like those two shows, a lot of people are going to be like, well, maybe I'll check that out anyway.
Well, and from what I've seen over the charts and all the stuff that I look at, Season 2 is more popular than Season 1. Mandalorian is ramping up. It's not stopping. Mandalorian, judging by the trailers and the interviews that I've read, it's getting bigger and bigger and more expansive, and why would it slow down?
Yeah, I think it's clearly getting bigger. I think that's what they planned all along. I don't think that's like any kind of response, anything, which is cool. I mean, I kind of liked Season 1 more than Season 2 in some ways, even though I love some of the cameos. Just, the fan service side of me is like, oh my God, Season 2 is great. But the more I just want a good story with a good character side of me liked Season 1 more.
Right, because you were like, there's Mando. I mean, Din Djarin, he is the titular character of the show, and I wanted to watch more adventures with him growing and becoming, who we imagine he might become within the galaxy.
The better Boba Fett?
Yeah. It's been crazy having all these cameos and everything brought in, but at the same time, they're also driving his growth.
Yeah, you're right.
Take it and leave it, right?
Well, I think what's impressive, and I've talked about this one before, I know, but it's impressive that you can have the likes of an Ahsoka or a bo-katan or a Luke Skywalker show up and Mando isn't like, oh, nobody cares about Mando anymore. He can stand on his own.
Well, it's been healthy for him to expand his circle beyond his covert.
Well, sure.
Because The Mandalorian in Season 1, Episode 1, he didn't really talk to people. He didn't have you could never have called Grief Karga his friend. He barely spoke to him. He barely spoke to anybody.
Yeah.
He sat in his ship, doing his bounty hunter thing, without really speaking to people. And then he would just come and do his religious stuff at the cult and leave. Now he's, got friends.
Yeah, he's got his posse.
He made friends with Grief Karga. He made friends with Queel. He made friends with Ahsoka. He made he made friends with bo-katan.
Yeah. Cardoon.
Yeah, made friends with Kara.
Yeah.
His world is expanding. His views are expanding. And of course, as soon as you add more people to your life, your world is going to get bigger. So
Sure, things change when you actually have friends. Yeah.
And it's interesting to see him start to actually care about the galaxy because he cares about Grogu.
Yeah, I agree. Grogu is the catalyst for all changes, essentially, in him.
Save the Grogu, save the world.
Well, he did save the Grogu, and now Grogu's back again, so we don't get to see if he grows without him.
That is a little sad, as I did want to see him more without him. But I think the only thing we saw without Grogu, that like one episode without him, we saw that he kind of just went back to the way he was.
Well, he went back to the armor and
the armor.
Stuff,
he went back to his cult.
Yeah.
He was quieter again. I mean, that's that. But we didn't see enough of that. We didn't like see the real.
A few episodes at least would have been nice, right?
But at the same time, how long do you want to drag that out if he's just going to fall back into his old ways without Grogu?
Well, I mean, maybe you don't just have him fall back into his old ways, or maybe that's interesting that he falls back into his old ways, and you immediately see how important Grogu is, and maybe he begins to realize how important Grogu was.
Right, Grogu is something that brings out the best in him, and it brings
Yeah.
out change in him. It's a good thing and healthy thing to see those changes, but he does need to have those changes stick so that when Grogu's not there, he is still the better person.
Yeah. It's almost like they, as the writers, don't exactly know how to write him without Grogu around.
Or that Disney won't let them.
But yeah, I mean, I think that had a lot to do with it, but I don't know. It felt like an extremely quick reunion, like too quick and in a different show. And
Well, and Favreau's the one who invented Grogu, and he wrote every episode. I mean, Filoni only co-wrote on 2 of them
yeah.
for the new season.
So, I mean, it could... I know there are some out there who argue it was all Favreau and there's no Disney meddling, and that's possible. We'll never know exactly what went on behind the scenes. But I'm sure Disney wasn't upset when they're like, hey, we're going to bring Grogu back.
And they're like, hey, you know that little green guy? Green for money?
Yeah, he's a very fitting color. But anyway, getting kind of back to it there, we went off on a little bit of a tangent about the show. But I think this is really amazing that many views over Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought Obi-Wan, just being who Obi-Wan is, would have...
Dominated?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would have had the high ground.
I could see that too. I mean, he's a legacy character.
Yes.
And so many of the references that come around in Mandalorian are from Rebels and Clone Wars and things that are the animated stuff that maybe didn't get watched as much.
Yeah. Yeah, Obi-Wan is like a bridge between the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. Everybody loves Obi-Wan. Or if you're Clone Wars, he's kind of everywhere. I don't know anybody who didn't like Obi-Wan in anything. Even people who maybe don't like the prequel so much probably will acknowledge that Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan was really good.
Yes.
So he's that one piece that everybody likes, and Mando crushed him.
Absolutely. All day, every day, Mando's like,
This is the way.
this is the way.
I know.
I mean, I'm very proud of how that trailer did because I thought it was very well done. It was interesting. It was captivating. I'm wondering how much they didn't show us. They showed us so much. It felt like...
It felt like they had a good blend of too much and too little. It gave us a taste of what... I mean, the first one kind of did the same thing. I don't know that it was that different from the first one. Both of them showed, I think, just enough.
Do you think the episodes in Season 3 will be longer?
I hope so.
Episodes in Season 1, they ran...
35 minutes on average, I think.
And average, the episodes in Season 2, I believe, run longer.
Slightly longer.
So I'm curious, will episodes in Season 3 continue the trend and be longer still?
I think we have a chance. I mean, we are seeing things beyond his scope a little bit more. Like I think we're seeing perhaps more into the New Republic. We've seen that in some of like the promotional material where they kind of give you the tagline. Like, there you go. Like the Republic will be dealing with something. So I think we might be going beyond his scope and scale a little bit because every episode of The Mandalorian so far has really been about The Mandalorian.
Yes.
From his perspective, 95% of the time at least.
So I think we might keep doing it.
Yeah, I think we might branch out and see some different perspectives. So that could lead to longer episodes.
Possibly.
Especially if you're trying to build up to something truly big with this crossover event series that we heard about a couple of years ago that really hasn't been mentioned since, but probably is still a thing.
Right, they're still setting it up slowly, masterfully.
Very slowly, yes.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that Grogu will finally be able to actually communicate?
Yes, I think the season ends with Grogu saying his first word.
Mando.
That's my guess. Probably daddy or something stupid.
Oh, no.
It's too... I know.
A 50-year-old man calling However old Mando is, 35, I'll guess.
Oh, he's
old
older
man,
than that.
whatever.
Come on, Pedro's
Daddy
in his
is,
40s. Yeah, two middle-aged guys calling each other daddy. Yeah. That's probably a really weird... I mean, not weird. If you're into it, you're into it,
he was
right?
making some weird noises in season 1. I don't know if maybe how his vocal cords have developed, because he's making these ears. He's like,
yeah,
he makes really weird noises. Sorry, everybody.
Anyway, before we derailed the conversation again, I think we hear him speak at the end of the season. I think that's the big
full sentences like an adult too.
No, I think it's going to be simple.
No baby talk. Hello, Father. I have arrived.
Yes, very very cordial. Like I could talk the whole time. I just didn't want to.
Father, I chose not to speak with you.
Or it'll be
not cool.
It'll be like Boss Baby. He'll have that really deep, kind of gruff gangster voice or whatever it is. I've never seen it.
You just know.
I just kind of know. Yeah. Or wasn't there another like baby that talks like that? What movie is that?
You're talking about Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah, there it is.
That's because it wasn't a baby. It was a cartoon who was an adult who liked to smoke and drink and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
He just played a baby because he happened to look like one.
Okay.
That was Baby Melvin.
That's perfect.
Baby Herman.
See, that's perfect. That's what Grogu is. He just looks like a baby. He's just playing a baby. We figured it out.
Sorry, everybody. That was one of my favorite movies as a kid.
I know.
I watched it way too much.
I know. I've seen it like once, like 30 years ago.
Didn't even remember Baby Herman.
No, I didn't. I know it's a classic. A lot of people like it. I don't. It's not that I don't like it. I just seen it once and it just hasn't.
I want to watch it.
Yeah, now I'm gonna get stuck watching it again, aren't I? Anyway, I think that's gonna be all we got for this time. Hopefully you enjoyed what did actually kind of become more of a ramble. Either way, do take to the comments below. Tell us what you think of these numbers. What does this mean for The Mandalorian, for Star Wars, for all of it? Whatever the case may be, again, leave your comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.